In the clear, the Premiership footballers accused of sex assault in Spain. DNA tests suggest that there's no link between the Leicester players and their alleged victims. Also tonight, carnage in Gaza. Israelis flatten Palestinian homes, killing 19. Shocking video, no jail sentence for the man who attacked this child. And over the first hurdle, fireworks tonight for London's Olympic chances.
And in the northeast tonight, another firm axes jobs here and sends them abroad. And could a Teesside man be the next Pavarotti?
Good evening. For 2.5 months, a cloud of suspicion has hung over 3 Leicester City footballers accused of sexual assault and rape in Spain. Tonight, though, it looks as though that cloud has disappeared. Tests on the clothes and belongings of the 3 women who brought the assault charges have proved negative, and there appears to be nothing to link them to Paul Dickov, Frank Sinclair and Keith Gillespie. The club now wants all charges dropped. Tim Rogers is in Leicester tonight. Tim?
Well, they had stood accused of crimes which would have wrecked their careers, smeared the name of their club and the reputation of English football. But tonight, for the 3 men, they are in the clear. This evening, the relief was clear for 2 of the 3 players, Paul Dickov and Keith Gillespie, turning out to play in a testimonial. The smiles replaced the frowns of the last 3 months, their reputation intact, their claims of innocence apparently now supported by the evidence. It was all so different after their week behind bars in a Spanish jail, put through an ordeal for which it now seems they were entirely innocent. They had their lives, their reputation and their relationships put under enormous strain after the allegations against them left them standing in the dock. Since they left Spain after intensive legal questioning 2 months ago, their lawyers have fought their case. Now they want a legal ruling to completely exonerate them. The 3 men, Paul Dickov, Keith Gillespie and Frank Sinclair, here standing, were suspected of serious sex crimes. And now they can claim they were the innocent victims of a false charge and wrongful arrest.
The forensic tests have come back to the court in Spain, and it's shown that the players are clear from a forensic point of view, that there's no link between the girls and the players.
It was in the exclusive Spanish resort of La Manga that the allegations against the men first surfaced. 3 women, one of whom is seen here with Sinclair on the right, accused them of sexual aggression. It's since been suggested the women were prostitutes. And now DNA tests finally appear to have cleared the men they've accused. The result was a 3-month ordeal for the men and their families. Paul Dickov is 31, he's married, has 3 children and is still under contract. Frank Sinclair is 32, he has a girlfriend and 3 children and he's recently been released by the club. Keith Gillespie is 29, he also has a girlfriend and has also been made available on a free transfer. He's threatening legal action.
Once the players have been formally released of all these charges, then they'll want to review, I think, 2 aspects. One is the coverage in this country, to see if it went beyond which was what was acceptable reporting of a big foreign story, and indeed what their rights may be in Spain.
5 other Leicester players, also arrested on lesser charges, are expected to be cleared too, bringing what has for all of them been a painful and sordid drama to an end. Tonight there is talk of legal action, but it'll be another 2 or 3 weeks before a Spanish judge finally closes the book on this case and their honour is completely restored.
Tim Rogers, thank you. It was the bloodiest day in the Gaza Strip for 2 years. 19 Palestinians were killed as Israeli tanks and bulldozers demolished more homes in the Rafah refugee camp. Israel says the houses concealed weapons supply tunnels. In America, President Bush called today's deaths troubling. Mark Webster reports.
Overnight, the biggest build-up of Israeli heavy armour for decades moved on the Rafah refugee camp, convinced it was the centre of militant extremist attacks which have left many Israeli soldiers dead. But among its weaponry, something unique to this conflict, the armoured bulldozer, there only to demolish houses. In the daylight, it was clear as many as 100 Palestinian homes had been destroyed. The Israelis said they were targeting those building underground tunnels to smuggle weapons. But among the dead from the brutal and bloody reprisals were a teenage boy and his sister, who locals said were feeding pigeons on a roof. In the latest round of tit-for-tat bloodshed, 13 Israeli soldiers have been killed in a single week. Israeli army reprisals have left at least 19 Palestinians dead.
We now require the international community and the United Nations in particular to take the necessary practical steps to stop this Israeli campaign of killing Palestinians and demolishing their houses.
Fierce international criticism of Israeli plans to demolish hundreds more homes in Rafah appears to have forced them to backtrack. But President Bush repeated his administration's support for the Israeli government's policies.
Israel is a democracy and a friend, and has every right to defend itself from terror.
Violence has intensified since hardliners in the Israeli government vetoed plans for the withdrawal of troops and settlements from the West Bank. As both sides paused only to bury their dead, there's no clear way to avoid a further escalation of bloodshed. Mark Webster, ITV News.
Sonia Gandhi has stunned her supporters by turning down the chance to become India's next Prime Minister. She was known to be worried about the effect on her Congress party of criticism of her Italian birth. Angry Congress MPs mobbed Mrs. Gandhi and begged her to change her mind. It's also rumours that her children didn't want her to take the job because of the assassinations of her husband and her mother-in-law.
I was always certain that if ever I found myself in the position that I am in today, I would follow my inner voice. Today, that voice tells me I must humbly decline this post.
A judge was criticized tonight for not jailing a man who'd swung a one-year-old girl around a room by her ankle. No one would have known what Jamie Ian Thompson had done had the girl's mother not suspected he'd been hurting her. She set a trap with the help of a camera. The tape she recorded was shocking. Lauren Taylor reports.
It seems a normal domestic scene, a baby absorbed by cartoons on the television. But what happens next is too horrific to show. A man picks up the child by her feet and swings her round the room. The girl's mother had suspected abuse and set an extraordinary trap, hiding the video camera to catch him in the act. The terrible incident doesn't end there. Again, the man grabs the baby and swings her violently round upside down. And again, screams are also heard on the tape. Jamie Ian Thompson is the man responsible. He escaped a jail sentence because he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Instead, he'll serve a 2-year community rehabilitation order. The mother, who can't be identified for legal reasons, is shocked at the outcome.
First thing I did was cry. I couldn't believe it. It's as though we'd been let off for what he'd done. It's as though they can say anything and get away with it. Oh, I'll just make up some story that I had such and such and they'll get away with it. And it's given him a second chance. He could go out and do something again.
Unexplained injuries on the baby had led her to plant the camera.
When I walked to the shop, I thought, you're leaving there knowing something's going to happen. I'm letting something happen by trying to, catch him doing something. And for a while I felt it was my fault, but people told me I did the right thing.
In court, the judge, Michael Stokes, told Thompson, "What you did to this child was quite appalling. My one real concern is that I'm not fully satisfied that you acknowledge the gravity of what you did. The child was absolutely terrified, and the damage you may have done to that child is incalculable." But campaigners say the judge's decision not to jail Thompson is appalling.
We send people to prison for non-payment of parking fines. We send shoplifters to prison. If there was ever anything that I have seen that deserves prison, it's that clip.
The girl's mother says she feels utterly let down by the system. Lauren Taylor, ITV News.
Some other stories making the news tonight. In an Australian courtroom, the girlfriend of Peter Falconio, the murdered British backpacker, has stood face to face with a man charged with his murder. Fighting back tears, Joanne Lees described hearing a gunshot, then being attacked by Bradley Murdoch, before she managed to escape and hide in the bush. There's new forensic evidence about the death of the skydiver Stephen Hilda. Police are due to see his parents about it on Thursday. There's speculation that detectives believe his death may have been suicide. And the first arrest was made tonight by Royal Military Police investigating the fake Daily Mirror photographs. The Ministry of Defence said that at least one man had been questioned under caution. The pictures were claimed to have shown British troops abusing an Iraqi prisoner. One of the soldiers in those photographs of American abuse of prisoners in Iraq will appear to court-martial in a few hours' time in Baghdad. Jeremy Sivits, a military policeman, is the first person to face charges over the pictures, which caused such international outrage. But as Robert Moore reports, despite the evidence, people in his hometown are standing by him.
It is a community in the American heartland, a small town in western Pennsylvania, cut in half by the railroad. Tomorrow, Hindman must confront its moment of shame. For this is the hometown of specialist Jeremy Sivits, the first American soldier to face a court-martial over the prison abuse scandal. He is the man who took many of the photographs that outraged the world and shocked locals who had been so proud of their small-town American values.
These pictures of these sadistic actions by our people, both men and women, doesn't make sense. Jeremy is being used as a sacrificial lamb. It sounds like the big boys are going to get off and Jeremy's going to take the brunt.
In Hindman, as locals put up posters on their porches, you would think Sivits was a war hero, not a man who has pleaded guilty to abuses that have disgraced America. As his court-martial gets underway, there are many people here in his hometown who believe that Sivits was simply following orders and that now he is being made a political scapegoat. They point out he was trained as a mechanic and not as a prison guard. At the local Veterans Club, as we discovered, pride in American values still far exceeds any sense of shame. What values does America stand for?
Freedom. I just, anyone who will go anywhere to help a depressed nation.
Nobody's ever apologized to us. Why should we apologize to them?
American values, I've always been led to believe, are higher than your third world countries.
The court-martial of Sivits tomorrow will be watched around the world, but nowhere with a greater sense of bewilderment than here in his hometown. Robert Moore, ITV News, Pennsylvania.
There's more to come on the ITV News tonight, including London takes on the world in the race to host the Olympics. But how much could it cost you? And tying up the Liverpool deal. The row continues as the ties fly into Anfield. That's coming up after the break.
There's one. Oh, look at it. All limp and pathetic.
Reminds me of Tim.
What? Tim Spencer?
Weedol kills weeds fast.
Free inside tomorrow's Daily Mirror 3 a.m. magazine. Which celebs are revealing all on the beach? Who's sizzling and who's fizzling? 3 a.m. free inside tomorrow's Daily Mirror. Be part of it.
Welcome back. 5 cities have cleared the first hurdle in the contest to fly those 5 Olympic rings and host the 2012 Games. London is safely through, but so too are other powerful cities, New York and Paris, along with Madrid and Moscow. And now the real competition begins. But what exactly does the winning country gain? Here's Caroline Kerr.
It might look as though the celebrations have started already. But tonight, London still has a long way to go before being selected as an Olympic city. The capital is now on a short list of world-class cities. It's up against Paris, which is the bookies' favourite, and New York. Stiff competition indeed. But there was huge relief today that London had made it to that final selection.
I believe ultimately that London will stage games that will take the Olympic movement forward, that will do a lot for London, do a lot for the UK. Not just sport, but the cultural offering that we'll be able to to put on the table will really knock the socks off everyone.
Whatever the cultural benefits, hosting the Games is an expensive gamble. Montreal made such a loss it almost went bankrupt after '76. Los Angeles did manage to make a profit in 1984, and Atlanta broke even in '96. But Sydney, touted as a success, made a small loss.
These bids are seldom profitable, largely because there's so much competition to win. It's an auction, and this particular auction involves three of the biggest cities in the world, and therefore the winner will have to promise the world in order to win in this case.
So it could cost the earth to bring the Games to London. An estimated £6 billion will be needed to fund the 2012 event. Half that amount, £3 billion, will come from sponsorship, broadcast rights and ticket sales. £1.5 billion will come from cash from the National Lottery, £250 million from the London Development Agency, and £625 million is coming from Londoners through higher council tax bills. Everyone will pay an extra £20 a year. The final decision won't come until next July. Will we have cause to celebrate then? Who knows? But it won't just come down to economics. International politics will have a role to play too. And the relative popularity of the United States and the UK could help determine who wins the next Olympics. Caroline Kerr, ITV News, Central London.
And now, with more from the world of sport, here's Felicity Barr.
Thank you, Trevor. The Prime Minister of Thailand said today that Liverpool have accepted his bid for a 30% stake in the club. Liverpool have refused to confirm his claim, but the sports minister here has expressed his unease about English clubs being controlled by foreign interests. Damon Green reports.
Last week it would have been easy to dismiss the notion as an elaborate hoax, but tonight it appears to be true. The Prime Minister of Thailand says he's brokered a deal for his country to buy 30% of Liverpool Football Club.
In principle, there shouldn't be any problems, because at least it's been progress.
The irony is that Thaksin Shinawatra is a billionaire and could afford to pay the £60 million cost out of his own pocket. Instead, the club, whose assets include England striker Michael Owen, will be part-owned by every person in Thailand, with the country's treasury staging a one-off national lottery to raise the cash. Politicians in this country are less than happy.
Whatever decision is made by that board, that they pay, due cognizance to where they've come from and really where their strength is, and that's within Liverpool and the community.
Liverpool have already rejected one deal with a Merseyside businessman for a share in the club, and with representatives reportedly flying in from Bangkok tonight to sign their deal, it seems a club so proud of its local roots will now branch out into Southeast Asia. Damon Green, ITV News.
West Ham are through to the First Division playoff final after a dramatic victory over Ipswich tonight. They'll now face London rivals Crystal Palace for a place in the Premiership a year after they were relegated. Here's Alex Thomas.
Last season, they were the team who were too good to go down, but did. Now West Ham were hoping their fans could roar them to within one victory of an instant return to the Premiership. Shots rained down on the Ipswich goal from the start, Stevie Lomas only denied by the crossbar. And Bobby Zamora's header was miraculously kept out by Kelvin Davis. After half-time, though, the Hammers finally broke through, Matthew Etherington's powerful shot living up to the club's nickname. Christian Daly made it 2-0, prompting manager Alan Pardew to fling himself into the crowd. Ipswich fought back, and if this shot had gone in, extra time beckoned. But with nerves fraying, West Ham held on for a 2-1 victory on aggregate. Alex Thomas, ITV News.
Birmingham City today signed Emile Heskey from Liverpool on a 5-year deal. The England striker, who scored against Birmingham 10 days ago, is costing the club a record £6.25 million. Manager Steve Bruce says Heskey is the first of several big signings he'll make this summer. Leeds have rejected 2 bids from Manchester United for Alan Smith. United offered £5.5 million for Smith, but Leeds want more, and Liverpool are expected to make a bid this week. And Millwall player-manager Dennis Wise could miss out on the FA Cup final. He's flown to Italy for a massage on a calf injury. And that is tonight's sport. Trevor.
Thank you, Felicity. I'll be back in a few minutes with an update on our headlines and a look at some of the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers. Now, though, it's time to find out the news in your area by rejoining our ITV colleagues around the country.
Good evening. First from us, news is coming in of a major fire at a pub in County Durham. It's thought the blaze broke out in the kitchen of the old farmhouse in Yarm Road on the outskirts of Darlington at around 8:15 this evening. 8 appliances and more than 45 firefighters are at the scene. Customers were evacuated immediately and no one was injured. The jobs drain from the northeast to foreign countries has spread to the car industry. Johnson Controls in Washington is the latest firm expected to switch part of its production to Eastern Europe.
It's a familiar story, a northeast-based firm struggling to compete against cheap foreign competition. Johnson Controls makes car seats and trims for the nearby Nissan plant and employs 655 people.
Well, it's very sad that once again we're seeing northeast jobs leaving the area to go to Eastern Europe. It's just another example. We've seen it so many times now in the region.
75% of the work under threat, which involves cutting and sewing, fabric and foam, is carried out by women. In recent years, hundreds of similar jobs have gone abroad. There's already been bad news for jobs this month. A week ago, drugs firm ACS Dobvar in Northumberland announced 170 posts are under threat because it can't compete with Chinese imports. Far East competition is also blamed for 74 possible job losses at Cooks and Fukuda, a printed circuit board manufacturer on North Tyneside. In County Durham, 200 jobs are in question, with the closure of car component firm Calsonic Kansai, and textile company Dewhurst's last remaining site in Sunderland is under threat, as customer Marks & Spencer continues to look abroad. Here at Johnson Controls, no jobs will go before the end of August.
A bride-to-be has been given the best wedding present she could have thanks to pioneering surgery in a northeast hospital. After 13 years of chronic back pain, Vanessa Fields will be able to walk down the aisle without worrying that she'll collapse in agony.
Vanessa still has to walk with a stick for the moment. She's even facing another operation on her hip after a car accident last year. But she's still over the moon. And consultant surgeon Ty Freesham is the man who changed her life.
Just really appreciate it so much. Just all them years of the pain that I went through that nobody should have to go through.
He combined a fairly new technique, replacing a degenerated disc in Vanessa's spine with a metal one, and for the first time used a new computer navigation system to improve the accuracy of the operation.
The revolutionary part of it is actually how we get to place the disc. We take an X-ray at the beginning with a reference frame, as it were, on the patient, and then that gives us a virtual image on a screen that we're working on the virtual image.
The surgeon's keen to point out an operation's always the last resort for patients with back problems, but his skill and ingenuity has meant for long-suffering patients like Vanessa, there is the possibility of help.
A 13-year-old schoolgirl is recovering from shock after she had to be rescued by a lifeboat crew when the inflatable dinghy she was playing in got blown out to sea. The volunteer crew at Hartlepool was scrambled just after 2:30 after the youngster was spotted in trouble off Seaton Carew. Although she was quickly rescued, the crew say the inflatable was already a quarter of a mile out by the time they reached it.
In another 10 minutes, it could have turned into a full sea search. With a few more lifeboats, possibly a helicopter, worst case scenario.
These situations escalate very quickly.
This is the season now. It's getting quite frequent. People don't seem to be taking note of what the professionals tell them.
Police say they're launching a legal battle against a sentence given to a perverted doctor who has admitted assaulting 5 female patients. Saeed Amjad Hussain used a hidden camera to film patients aged from 7 to 74 at the Orchard Court Surgery in Darlington. He was sentenced to 3.5 years yesterday, but his victims and the police say the term is too lenient. Now, last night was of course a tough time for Sunderland fans as their team was knocked out of the playoffs, but it was also a big occasion for the man who entertained the 35,000-strong crowds before kick-off.
Last-minute rehearsals before the stadium fills with possibly the hardest crowd any singer could perform before. This is more like the audience Chris Hartshorn is used to. That was until 6 months ago when on a holiday in Ireland, his friends persuaded him to get up and sing.
It was one of these pub occasions where we'd all gathered and I was asked to sing a song, and I chose, I think it was Spanish Eyes, just off the top of my head. And when I sung the song, basically they were amazed and gobsmacked, and I just thought they were basically taking the mick.
Chris was a 28-year-old software engineer from Middlesbrough with no singing experience. But egged on by his friends, he found a singing teacher and after just a few months' work was passed on to a conductor for training. Though still doing his day job, he is working hard towards a career in opera. So watch out, Pavarotti. Here comes the tenor from Teesside.
What a fabulous voice. Well, on that sweet note, we'll say goodnight and hand you over to Bob. Bye-bye.
Tyne Tees weather with BMIBaby.com.
Hello there. Yes, the spring of 1833 was so exceptionally mild, a nightingale gale sang. No, not in Berkeley Square, in Kirkwhelpington in Northumberland. Well, today we've seen the last of the really warm days because the thing is cooling down a wee bit. The winds are getting into the northwest, and I think overnight tonight you'll see some spits and spots of rain. Nothing really to worry about, a bit of mist on the hills there. The numbers, well, they're up nicely around 10 Celsius. A wee bit sticky, I think, but as I say, for the last time this week, because tomorrow it changes a wee bit. Up at Kelso Races, it clears up nicely for the races in the afternoon. A wee bit cooler than it's been of late. That goes for most of us. A wee bit of sunshine in the afternoon, temperatures 17 Celsius. And on Thursday, it's cool and it's showery.
Tyne Tees weather with BMIBaby.com, the airline with tiny fares.
Hello again. A reminder of our top headlines tonight. 3 Leicester City footballers accused of rape and sexual assault in Spain are likely to be cleared. DNA evidence suggests they weren't involved. In one of Gaza's bloodiest days, 19 Palestinians were killed as Israel bulldozed its way through the Rafah refugee camp. And there were fireworks over London tonight to celebrate the capital making it onto the shortlist to host the 2012 Olympic Games. Time now for a look at what's making the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers, starting with the Daily Mail. The paper leads with the story we reported on the outrage after a man walked free from court despite video evidence proving that he'd assaulted a toddler. The Daily Mirror's headline is "Here we go" as the paper backs London to win the Olympic Games bid. The Times says the capital's hopes of staging the event will be scuppered because of its appalling transport problems. Its pictures of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, who today turned down the chance of becoming India's Prime Minister. And The Guardian reports the world's first stem cell bank is going to open here in the UK. The cells will be used to treat a range of illnesses such as Parkinson's. It too pictures Sonia Gandhi being mobbed today by her supporters. And that's it tonight on the ITV News channel now. Much more on London making the Olympic shortlist for the 2012 Games. The announcement, the reaction and the fireworks. We're back tomorrow, same time, 10:30. From all of us here, good night.
ITV National Weather, sponsored by Powergen.
Hello, good evening. So a beautiful day for a lot of places, not quite everywhere. There was a good deal of cloud you can see here up across Scotland, some quite continuous rain across western parts of Scotland too. Now the front that brought that rain, that's going to continue sinking south overnight, weakening all the while. So by tomorrow, really in this kind of position here, just really a line of cloud. Now to the south of that, warm and sunny, perhaps a little bit of fog down here in the far southwest. To the north of that, it is going to feel fresher with perhaps a scattering of showers. Cooler still as we head on towards Thursday. Showers likely anywhere across the country. So it is going to be noticeably cooler. We're looking at highs on Thursday around 20 or maybe 21 Celsius. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Positive energy from Powergen.
We're back on the beat with the Crime Fighters UK next.
It's a great run by Michael Owen, and he might finish it off. Oh, it's a wonderful goal!
Euro 2000
4. Get ready for more great ITV.
Reckon buying a newly built home is a safe bet? Think again.
We were devastated.
New Homes from Hell, Thursday at 9, ITV1.
Every year, 1 in 3 cats and dogs need to go to the vets, and the treatment can be expensive. More Than Pet Insurance will pay up to £6,000.
Lucky.
For each and every new illness and injury.
Lucky?
We'll even pay up to £600 towards advertising a lost pet.
That's lucky. That's more than lucky.
Pet insurance? Don't accept less than More Than. Call 0800 300 636.
Free inside tomorrow's Daily Mirror 3am magazine. Which celebs are revealing all on the beach? Who's sizzling and who's fizzling? 3am free inside tomorrow's Daily Mirror. Be part of it.
For a free second pair of prescription sunglasses and a free eye test when you purchase spectacles, look into Optical Express today.
To be the best, you must strive for perfection. And use every opportunity to get better. Kia. Quality comes from that dedication.
Can I help you, madam?
Caniston Duo, please.
There you are. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Come on.
Caniston Duo, a capsule to treat thrush fast and a handy tube of double-strength cream to soothe the irritation immediately.
At Savers, you'll always find massive choice, friendly service, and fantastic value for money. So check out the big brand savings at Savers. Lynx Body Spray Twin Pack only $3.39, save over 20%. Save 30% on Radox Shower Gel, our 400ml pack just $1.79. Save it at Savers.
New from Capital One, the UK's lowest flat credit card rate. Unlike some credit cards, the balance transfer rate won't shoot up after 6 months. And there's no sky-high purchase rate. The Capital One no-hassle Platinum Card. Just one flat rate of 5.9% APR on both balance transfers and purchases that stays low.
What's in your wallet?
What if, instead of using a bag, you carried all your shopping in your arms? What if you decided to cross a river without using the bridge? And what if you spent hours trawling countless travel sites instead of visiting a website where you could create your perfect trip in moments? You'd have to be crazy, wouldn't you? Stop searching. Start creating.
Oh, come on. We suffer the crowded sauna, the prying hands of the instructors, the embarrassment of the open plan changing rooms, and now a lovely salad without any Hellmann's mayonnaise, and they do an extra light one now. Not light, extra light. It's the lowest fat mayonnaise you can buy. Oh, you think I'm the strangest of these things? This isn't my fault. It's my glands. I'm sweating. I need to go back in. Hey, I need another shower.
You know the big dollops, right?
You're in an extremely high-risk situation.
She's about to blow the whistle on the world's deadliest arms deal.
But they're just trying to kill me.
She needs protection.
You're alive.
She needs Arnie.
And I'll keep you that way.
The Saturday night movie.
You're late.
Traffic.
Eraser. Saturday 9:30 ITV1.
Our movie premiere, Almost Famous, is at 11:35. Now though on ITV1, in a change to the schedule, strong language from the outset as we go on the beat with the Crime Fighters UK.